And we are live. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Cam in Focus Weekly. I'm Cam of Cam in Focus, and with me today is Andrew. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. But before we get started with all that, you had told me a little bit about a couple of movies you saw in theaters. Want to give me a quick summary of what went on there?
Yeah, so I caught the Brutalist on Wednesday, which, if you have not seen that, it is honestly, it's a modern masterpiece. It really feels like a movie that could have been released and the 50s, 60s set. Like feels like a timeless movie. It's long, 3.5 hours.
Woo!
But my theater had an intermission, which all the theaters do, so that's nice. But yeah, it really blew me away. It's a very raw and real take on the American dream for immigrants that came over, because it's post World War II. It's two parts, and each part's I think like 6 years, and then there's a little epilogue at the end. So yeah, really good. And then today I saw Captain America: Brave New World. I thought it was good. I know I'll get my full thoughts tomorrow night, but solid movie. I'd probably put it, mid tier for MCU. Nothing too crazy. It's not like great.
Oh no! What happened? Where'd you go?
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I won't get offended. So yeah, all around a good week at the theater.
All right. Yeah, how about I'll be going to see Captain America tomorrow myself, so I'm going into it with kind of a blank slate. I'm not expecting greatness, but I'm not expecting for it to be the worst thing ever either. So
yeah, for me it's solid.
Yeah, fairly middle of the road. I gotcha. Well, today we're talking about a nice little film that came out back in 2005 called "Thank You for Smoking," starring Aaron Eckhart. I was going to say Evan Eckhart, but that's not correct. So most people know Aaron Eckhart for his role as Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight. Fantastic role. I mean, he played it to perfection.
He has one of the best lines, and you could argue in cinema history. You either die a villain or you either die a hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yes, exactly.
I almost butchered it. Oof.
Shame on you. I'll cut that out in post.
Thank you.
But yes, arguably one of the most iconic lines in cinema history, and this movie came out prior to that, so that this was before his big breakout into the mainstream. So this movie was directed by Jason Reitman, which if you don't know who that is, he directed Ghostbusters Afterlife, and
great movie, by the way,
and Juno. But both of those movies are kind of known for having that really quick, snappy dialogue, pretty solid scripts in both. So I mean, the guy knows his stuff.
He also did the Saturday Night movie that came out early in there, and it's like that. It's a lot's happening. You really have to be paying attention, but it's great. I mean, he really knows how to handle that type of pacing.
Yes, definitely. And speaking of the pacing of this movie, I mean, it breezes right by. I mean, we jump from scene to scene, and there isn't a whole lot to establish any kind of real passage of time. It's just like, okay, you're here doing this in one scene, then you're here doing this in the next scene, then you're here doing this in the next scene, which in some ways kind of works to the film's credit, because it's not like a super grand story. It's pretty concise. But at the same time, as you're watching these scenes transition from one to the next, one, it's a little bit jarring, and two, you're like, I wonder how much they left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, that's true. Because the movie's not long either. It's an hour and 28 minutes without credits.
It's barely feature film length.
You almost would think it's like a Disney animated movie there for a second.
Right.
Yeah.
And the movie starts off. You have Aaron Eckhart who plays Nick Naylor. That's a very interesting name. And he's on what's the name of that talk show? Well, he's on some talk show, and there's a kid on the stage with him who's bald from chemo. He's got lung cancer.
They just call him Cancer Boy. I don't even remember if they give him a name.
Yes, I think that is what he's credited as on IMDb as well. But and he launches into a spiel about how it's in their best interest to keep this kid alive and smoking. And that right there sets the tone for the movie. It's a movie that doesn't take itself very, very seriously, but at the same time, it tackles these real world issues in a very satirical type of way. It's when you have the scenes of him debating people and talking about I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong.
It's an argument, not a negotiation.
Yes, exactly. And you can't help but be on his side, because the things that he's saying make sense from the perspective of someone who has a very cynical outlook on the human condition. So it's interesting to see how all that plays out. And so Andrew, was this a first time watch for you?
It was, yes. I had heard of the movie before, but I didn't even know what it was about. Like it was like just there for me. But I loved this movie. Like, I was blown away by how much I had fun with it and was laughing at it. And kind of like you said, it really does go by fast. You're like, oh, that felt like an episode of TV. And by the way, a great cast too. I was shocked at I don't know, just the amount of A-listers, you could say, that were in it, especially at the time. And
Aaron Eckhart, J.K. Simmons,
William H. Macy,
Holmes,
Robert Duvall, Sam Elliott. Like, what are these Western serious actors doing in this movie? Like, they're just there for the paycheck. But no, it was good.
William H. Macy was probably there for a paycheck, but I feel like he read the script, and the line that got him on board was, "Vermont will not apologize for its cheese."
I loved that.
You have this super serious courtroom proceeding, and he just belts that out like from the chest. And
although
I lost it.
That's exactly what I feel like real politicians can be like sometimes. Like, when they're called out on something, they give, like, that's their response. Like, my state will not apologize for whatever it's known for. Yes. And they're like dead serious. And it's like, oh gosh. Like, that just made me laugh. That was so funny.
And there were so many funny lines in this movie. I actually had to go back and list a few of them down, because so many lines in this movie just made me bust out laughing. Whenever Aaron Eckhart's introducing his friends, the guy who works with guns. I can't remember his name, but he said,
I can't either. Yeah.
He said, he was there to witness, such and such school shootings, so he joined the National Guard so he too could shoot college kids.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was like, that. Oh man, so morbid, this movie could not be made today. I can tell you that.
No, absolutely not. There's so much. Not necessarily politically incorrect, but not the most sensitive of jokes. Which, at the same time, though, I mean, the best humor comes at someone else's expense.
Right.
I mean, that's what a joke is. But if this movie were made today, it would get slammed.
It's like if you watch the first few seasons of The Office, you're like, oh man, like, and that's kind of what this. I mean, it's a little bit more, but. There were a ton of lines. I'm trying to think. I mean, the Vermont cheese one was funny. Sam Elliott was funny too, because he's playing this serious character, but then he's presented with the money. He's like, oh,
yeah.
Because like, oh, okay. I can't have it all. I either have to keep it all or give it away. I can't have half.
Yeah, and J.K. Simmons had the chance to do his usual J.K. Simmons type stuff, where yeah, he's given the idea to work to get smoking back in Hollywood. And he looks at everybody else in the committee room and he says, and all the rest of you slam your head at the desk until something useful comes out.
Yeah, that was pretty. I was waiting for him to say, instead of bring me pictures of Spider-Man,
yeah, right.
Bring me cigarette sales. I don't know. I was thinking that
something along those lines.
Something along those lines.
It's insert Spider-Man joke facsimile here.
Yeah, you tell I can improvise well.
Yeah. It really did kind of shock me just how funny this movie was, and this was the first time watch for me too. And I remember, I think I had always seen the trailer for this movie on the DVD of the remake of The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, for the last 21 years, I had known of this movie's existence, but I had never, and it was never really something I felt the inclination to watch. Mm-hmm. But then a few weeks back, I went back and I rewatched The Dark Knight, and I'm like,
nice.
I'm like, holy shit, Aaron Eckhart is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking through his IMDb page to find movie stats of the list, mm-hmm. and as I'm scrolling through, I was like, I Frankenstein, no,
nope.
And he hasn't really done anything for the last like 10 years outside of like B action movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I'm scrolling through, I came across this one, and I was like, oh my god, there it is.
Full circle.
Yes, exactly.
You may have shed a tear just from,
Well, the tears didn't come until I was watching it because I was laughing so damn hard. It was making me cry. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I mean, Aaron Eckhart in this movie plays a sleazy lobbyist. He's someone who goes through and he just talks to people and debates with them about the pros and cons of of smoking. And watching him as this character, I mean, he just has the face of the captain of a debate club.
Mm-hmm.
Not your typical Hollywood pretty boy, but I mean, he brings a lot of really genuine charisma to this role. Like, I really believe that this guy could just debate the pants off of me,
mm-hmm. and convince me I'm wrong, even though I'm like, am I wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like if I was married to this guy, he could convince me that I was having an affair.
Yeah, he could. He'd be like, "Wait, when did I? Where was I? Oh, yeah.
Holy shit, he's right."
Yeah. It was. I'm not gonna go there.
Well, one thing I will say though, for all of the charisma that he brings to this role, he doesn't display a whole lot of actual range. He kind of plays it fairly one note. He's just the super confident, debater. I mean, mm-hmm. and that's what he is. But at the same time, this isn't exactly the kind of movie or screenplay really that would call for a huge amount of range to be conveyed.
Yeah.
You have your end of the second act, beginning of third act montage of his life falling apart and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really anything too serious. He just loses his job.
Mm-hmm. Well, for some people, that's a little serious, Cam. Not everyone is as rich as you are. All right. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, there goes my sandwich making days.
Well, see, back then you just saw a want ad and they would actually hire you. Nowadays, it's like, we'll get to you in 3 months and let you know that we were never interested in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. You go to apply on Indeed and it's like, we make the application process super easy, but it's like, it's like you're signing signing up for a home or something. It's like you're buying a house with these freaking applications.
Exactly. One line I just thought of real quick that made me laugh was when he drops off his son, and we see his wife and then her boyfriend, and the boyfriend's walking with him, and he's like, secondhand smoking is a real thing. It affects people. And then Aaron says, I'm the dad. You're just the guy doing the son's mom.
Yeah.
That's funny.
As he's walking away, the doctor's like, that was uncalled for.
Oh yeah, that was uncalled for. I was like, oh man, that was good.
Yeah, the focus is really on Aaron Eckhart as a character. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how I felt about his son. Now, I mean, watching his son kind of grow into a mini him was kind of fun, but I can't sugarcoat it. Cameron Bright, who plays him, is just not a good actor.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not. And the only two movies that I can actually recall seeing him in, besides this one, are X3, X-Men United.
That's okay. That's what it is. I was trying to place him.
Yep, he was the boy whose mutation was the cure for mutation.
Okay, that's right.
And he was also in Ultraviolet with Mia Jovovich, who was a boy whose mutation was the cure for mutation. So he's
got a typecast.
Literally the same character in two movies a year apart from each other.
I'm trying to think. I think this was outside of the X-Men. This is the only other movie I've seen him in.
Yeah, well, I checked him on IMDb, and the last thing he ever did was in 2018, and it wasn't anything really noteworthy.
Yeah.
He kind of fell off as an actor, like, I think before 2010. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, with his chops, he wasn't going to have a very promising career anyway. But
yeah,
you know, he was in this movie, and he served the purpose of being Nick Naylor's son.
Yeah, really, the only scene where I could say that it was good was when he was asking his dad about how are you right all the time? You've got to be wrong. And he was talking about the ice cream and showing him how I can convince you. All that matters is that I convince you that you're wrong. That was cool. But yeah, he didn't really have a whole lot. He was kind of just there.
Yeah, he was a tag along.
Right, because even with the Sam Elliott scene, I mean, he's makes this whole thing of I'm gonna come, and then he just sits in the kitchen drinking tea.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so a lot of the side characters didn't really do it for me, but at the same time, the side characters didn't need to do it for me. I mean, the spotlight was on Aaron Eckhart and his ability to talk to people. And that was absolutely on full display with this movie. And a lot of the banter between him and the mods was just so funny.
I love the jumping back and forth. We'd get a little bit of them, and then it'd go to another scene, and then we get a little bit of them, and then
yeah. Well,
good flow.
As I was watching it, I almost equated their scenes to the muse of a Shakespearean play. You have X amount of time for the play itself, and then you have the muse who comes out and kind of summarizes what you just saw and what you're about to see. So I mean, thinking of it structured that way kind of helps those scenes not feel so jarring when they popped up, because like I had said before, the transition from scene to scene is just whoa, what happened?
Exactly. You don't even have time to process it. It's cut, new scene. Yeah.
So we have Katie Holmes in this movie, who plays a crooked
another
journalist.
Dark Knight trilogy actor there, because she's in Batman Begins. Yeah.
One that didn't go the distance.
Nope.
But I feel like there is some kind of meta joke that we can make here. But so she plays a journalist who's trying to. I don't really even know. She doesn't have an actual motive. She's just being a crooked journalist.
Yeah.
And she seduces Nick Naylor a few times and gets him to spill the beans on all of his secrets. And and as I'm watching the movie, she has her scenes where she and Aaron Eckhart are sleeping with each other and doing whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, where is this going? Because she's Katie Holmes. She has to have a purpose in this movie outside of just being the girl that's boinking Aaron Eckhart. But then that newspaper article comes out, and I'm like, there it is.
Yep. She got him to talk. That's how she got him to talk. So then I'm thinking, does she do that with every guy she interviews?
Right.
Like, is that how she gets some stuff out of them?
Well, with them together, I keep on thinking of Dark Knight. And you know, as you know, you learn that Aaron Eckhart had spilled all the secrets about what's going on. The scene that popped in my head was Batman, Jim Gordon, and Harvey Dent on the rooftop. And Batman's like, if I get him to you, can you get him to talk? And Aaron's like, I'll get him to sing. It's like, ha! That's what happened.
Yeah, we don't want to see what Harvey and Joker were doing.
No, yeah, exactly.
Little Brokeback Mountain going on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Joker, Brokeback Mountain. There you go, Heath Ledger.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I saw a meme one day. It was Heath Ledger, you know, holding Maggie Gyllenhaal, you know, kind of in the headlock, and then Heath Ledger holding Jake Gyllenhaal from behind on the poster of Brokeback Mountain, and the caption was, "I just want someone to hold me like Heath Ledger holds the Gyllenhaals."
Oh man, don't we all?
It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that would imply that Heath Ledger's alive, and we just kind of need that right now.
Yep, for sure.
So, this movie was somehow simultaneously a lot to take in, and almost nothing at all. I don't know how it managed to skate that balance, but
I was about to say it feels like a lot happens, but if you ask me to describe the movie, I could tell you in about 10 seconds.
Yeah. Guy works for a tobacco company. Guy spills the secrets of the tobacco company's, you know, workings to a journalist. He gets fired for it. He makes a speech and gets his job back. Well, sort of.
Well, sort of.
Yeah,
and then he kind of gives the finger to J.K. Simmons and is like, "I'm out of here."
No, you don't give the finger to J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons gives the finger to you.
Finger to you. That's true.
Well, like in Whiplash, are you a rusher or are you a dragger? Answer.
I still need to see that.
You do need to see that. Whiplash is my favorite J.K. Simmons performance.
It's one of those where every so often I'll think like, "Oh yeah, I need to go watch that," and then I forget about it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I need to go watch that.
I don't remember if I put that on our list. If not, I'll add it on there
I think
later.
it's on Max, so it's or Netflix. It's on something.
It's somewhere.
It's out there. It's out there.
Yeah. You can always pirate it with, you know, Arabic subtitles.
Yeah, I literally looked up "Thank you for smoking" full movie just online, and it popped up, and I was like, ooh. And then it was like free singles in your area, and I was like, no, thank you. I just want to watch the movie, please. Not even.
Yeah, it's all targeted ads now. As you're watching it, an ad pops up that says, "Singles in your area want to smoke a cigarette with you. Click here to find out how."
It's like
It must not click. Oh damn it! There. Yeah, and it's just some lady named Ivanka who wants to be like your mail order bride.
Oh gosh, she wants to interview you for an article, you know. Well, and we have with William H. Macy. I can't remember his. I can't seem to remember character names.
So it started with a P. It was like like Pillafons or something like that. It was
Pilla cheese or something. But he's got like that. We find out
pile of cheese. Yeah,
pile of cheese.
Well,
we find out.
We'll just call him that, Senator
Pile of cheese. We find out the guy that from the first scene on the talk show, Robert, I think his name was.
Yeah,
is like his. I don't even know what you call him, like
secretary, yeah, or something.
And he does this thing in movies that is always hilarious to me, where they're like, "Sir, I got to show you something," and he turns on the TV, and it's exactly what he's needing to show him already there. It's a recorded news clip. I'm like, what? It's like even nowadays we don't even have that kind of technology.
Yeah, exactly. It's like even back in the days of TiVo, that would have been a stretch.
Yeah. That's stuff that's kind of that trope in movies where I'm like, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
It was still funny.
I mean, every movie's gonna have one or two things that kind of take you out and kind of tug on the suspension of disbelief. Like me, I have a fun time pointing out continuity errors. Like, especially the really egregious ones. And I found one in this movie that once I saw it, I was like, haha, there's one. It was the scene in the restaurant with Aaron Eckhart and his friends. And whenever the guy gets the apple pie with the cheese on top, so the woman, puts her fork in it and kind of digs around trying to get a piece of it. She pulls the cheese completely off of it, and not the next shot, because the next shot was on Aaron Eckhart's face, but the shot after, the cheese is back on the pie with the toothpick still stuck in it. So I'm like, okay, somebody really wanted that cheese to be there.
Yeah, it's like in there's a clip from Infinity War where Peter is talking with Tony Stark, and the caption was, Tony changed Peter's hair with just a look, because his hair is kind of down like this, and then it cuts and it goes back and his hair is like up like that, and it's like they didn't see that or go,
Yeah, well, I mean, so there's one of two reasons for that, or sometimes both reasons. One, it just slips past the editors. That they're human. They make mistakes. Sometimes things slip.
They're having to edit a ton of footage.
Oh yeah, but two, which usually tends to be the more prevalent answer for why these continuity errors happen, is performance over continuity every time.
Yeah,
no exceptions. So if you like, these actors are doing upwards of a dozen takes just for one line. So it like the line that you see a character speak, and then the next line they say in a shot 3 seconds later, they were probably filmed like a day apart. So
unless you're Samuel L. Jackson and you only do one take.
Well, Samuel L. Jackson is an enigma,
right?
So we don't ask questions about what he does. He just does.
Well, when you mentioned that, a few months ago I was watching behind the scenes for Lord of the Rings for the entire trilogy, and the scene where Sam and Frodo are climbing up the steps to get to Mordor. Gollum's kind of taking them through a shortcut.
Yeah.
They're like going up the mud steps. Well, the part of the scene with Frodo, all his lines, and then Sam's were filmed a year apart because of locations and scheduling and everything. So when you're watching that scene, they're not talking to each other directly.
Yeah.
They didn't film it at the same time. And I was like, that's kind of neat, because when you watch it, you wouldn't even know that. I mean, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show how competent of a filmmaker Peter Jackson is. And that actually happens a lot more often than a lot of people think. When you have two characters talking, and the technique I'm sure you know is shot reverse shot. Oftentimes, the other actor is not even there. They're talking to like a tennis ball or something. Because the actor might be off doing something else, or maybe off filming a different scene. And so, sometimes that shows through in the performances, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's when they can mask that and make that fact invisible. I mean, it's just the magic of filmmaking. It's when you look at a movie and you break it down to its most technical aspects. I mean, it's just a marvel to think about.
Well, it's like my family and I watched the second Night at the Museum the other night, and I remembered the fact of whenever Ben Stiller's talking to like Owen Wilson and everything, he's really talking to a toothpick. Like, they were never on set together, because when they filmed, he wasn't talking to a little, it wasn't like they did the camera angle like this for Ben Stiller and like this for Owen Wilson.
Right.
But I was like, well, that shows talent there, because I don't think I could talk to a toothpick and be very convincing that I was talking to a human.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I saw this thing not too long ago. I mean, well, we're kind of getting off topic here, but that's all right.
My bad.
No. It's totally cool. We're talking about film, and that's what this show is for.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this thing not too long ago where somebody was comparing how dialogue was filmed in the Star Wars prequel trilogy versus how it was filmed in Sonic 3. Now, and then so hear me out here. So in the prequels, the actors oftentimes didn't have anything to talk to, you know, because you had so many fully CGI characters there so that they had to talk to like a spot on the wall or a tennis ball in the air or something. Whereas with Sonic 3, you know, you have these human characters who are talking to these fully CGI characters, but they had, you know, life-size Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Shadow on set with them. Nice. So it's not like they were just talking to nothing. They were talking to actual props of the characters. And so when you take those extra steps to add a layer of authenticity to an actor's process, then it shows through in the final product. You know, I went back and I rewatched the Star Wars prequel trilogy not too long ago, and don't get me wrong. I mean, that trilogy 100% has its place in you know the pantheon of fandoms, but the dialogue is so stiff. It's oftentimes a
really
chore to listen to.
Is you are on point with that fact.
And so yes, and so many scenes are characters walking through fully CG environments, just talking about the plot, and I'm like, do something.
Yeah, it's just like the with the Hobbit trilogy, how it's like 90% blue screen, and you can see it. I don't like, if you're going to use CGI. I mean, you're going to always be able to tell, but I don't want it to be so obvious I can see, you know, that you used it. It's like, I don't know.
Well, if there were ever something that I'm glad never needed CGI, it's Aaron Eckhart's cleft chin.
Yeah.
I could fall into that thing.
Like a cave diver or something.
Yeah. And so it's like Lucius Fox talking to Bruce Wayne. Well, what do you need this suit for? Base jumping. Base jumping.
Oh man.
And it's interesting. I watched some stuff from Aaron Eckhart, like his more recent stuff, because like I said, he's done like a lot of like B action movies lately, and I don't know what they've done to him, but he doesn't look the same. I mean, not that, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, actors don't age and blah blah blah,
right?
But you know, even when they age, you can still tell that it's that actor. But with these new movies, I'm like, that doesn't look like Aaron Eckhart at all.
I wonder if he got any kind of like plastic surgery or something. I mean,
he might have. Well,
yeah,
his career was kind of dwindling in the early 2010s, and so I mean, unfortunately, it kind of came about during the time of like the young adult novel adaptation boom, because you had Twilight, you had Maze Runner, you had The Host, you had Hunger Games. Everybody had to be young and everybody had to be hot. That was the gold standard from like 2009 up until like 2016. And Aaron Eckhart didn't fit into either of those categories. And so well, when you have this new niche that Hollywood discovers, it gets a little bit more difficult for these legitimately good A-listers to find work.
Right. And it's a lot of, that's why a lot of them end up doing voice acting, because that's all they can get, because at that point it doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah.
You know?
You got a good face for radio.
That's what my mom said. She was like, I think you'd be a good voice actor. You got a face for it, you know. Like,
jeez.
You got a face only I can love. I was like, cool. I'm just kidding.
Batman.
It's like in Friends when Joey has a stalker from his Days of Our Lives character, and she's coming up the stairs to his hallway, and he's with Chandler, and he's like, ooh, maybe we could just walk past her. And Chandler's like, yeah, if you were a radio star.
Oh my God.
Because then she wouldn't know what he looked like,
Friends is just I don't know what to make of that show. I tried to watch it, and I just find it like maddeningly unfunny.
Wow. So you know what? I have seen people that say that, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Anyway, have a good night.
Well, that'll do it, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in.
That's all, folks.
Oh man. So, well, with Thank You for Smoking, we had touched on a little earlier about how this is definitely not a movie that could ever get made today. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Not only is it not necessarily raunchy, but not sensitive with its comedy at all. There's that, but then there's also the fact that this, well, I mean, while it is based on a novel, which I unfortunately
I did not know that.
Yes.
Wait, I saw the credit. What am I talking about? But I didn't know that before.
I haven't read the novel, so take what I say next with kind of a grain of salt. But it's a completely original work of fiction, and unfortunately, in today's cinematic environment, we don't get many of those anymore. It's so oversaturated with these big franchises and huge IPs that Marvel, DC, Star Wars, now Alien. Everybody wants remakes. Everybody wants sequels. No matter how much people say, "Oh, this doesn't need to be remade," it's gonna make money.
Yeah, well, and that's the unfortunate phase of Hollywood that we're in right now. It's not about let's tell good stories, it's what will make the most money. And that's IPs, that's franchise. I mean, that's it. Why make an original story that could make money when we just make another Avengers movie and we know that's going to make a ton of money?
Well, the problem is a lot of original films are bombing at the box office because studios don't look at the quality of a film when they're analyzing, how to proceed with their next project. They look at box office numbers, and everybody goes out to support the big theatrical event type movies. Like you said, the next Avengers, the next Justice League, the next Star Wars movie. One of the most egregious examples of this that I can think of in recent years is The Last Duel.
Yes, I love that movie.
Fantastic movie. Adam Driver, Matt Damon. I mean, just holy crap, what a great film. It was a completely original film made by an all-star director, Ridley Scott, with an A-lister cast, with great writing, great cinematography, great action sequences, a great story, and it completely freaking flopped at the box office. Like, completely. And the argument could be made, oh, well, it came out during COVID and no one was going to theaters. Bullshit.
It was late 2021. Theaters were open again. I mean, people were out doing stuff.
Theaters were open and theaters were showing Marvel movies that everybody was going to see.
Okay, you're going to use that excuse. Now, I love this movie. No Way Home made $1 billion in like a few weeks, and that came out like maybe 2 months after The Last Duel. So no, people were going to the theaters. It had nothing to do. Interesting fact about that real quick. It's based on a book was written about true events, but they got a woman to come in and write the perspective of Jodie Comer, because they tell it from all different perspectives. I thought that was a cool little touch that, makes it feel more kind of, I don't want authentic, maybe is the right word. I'm not sure, but.
And the movie is told in 3 chapters, and each chapter makes you rethink the chapter you saw before. I mean, Ridley Scott, man, when he's good, he's really freaking good.
Yep. And then you get Gladiator 2, and you're like, huh?
I haven't seen it yet, and Gladiator is one of my favorite films.
Same here.
And it was my grandfather's all-time favorite film. I must have watched
cool.
that with him like two dozen times.
Yeah,
because he wanted to watch it like once a week. And yeah, I Gladiator 2 just never had any inclination to watch it.
It definitely did not need to be made. It was still good. It's not obviously Gladiator level, but yeah, it's kind of one of those like, okay, like we could have never had it, and I would have been fine. But
yeah, well, I mean, sometimes
now they're talking about Gladiator 3, by the way. Like Ridley Scott's already working on the script. I think I saw.
Oh God. Okay. Well, I'll just.
And then you're gonna have the GCU, the Gladiator Cinematic Universe. Paramount's gonna do spin-off series. We're gonna get prequel series and all this stuff on Paramount.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Also, too, not everything has to be a franchise. Like,
no.
When we were watching the Last Starfighter, which I really enjoyed, I was like, if this was made today, it would 100% have 2 or 3 sequels by now.
Yeah,
and it's kind of one of those things where I'm for a sequel if it's necessary. It's like I was thinking about E.T. the other day, how Spielberg was working on a sequel and even like wrote one, but didn't like it. He was like, I'm not feeling that this is a worthy sequel, so they didn't make it. But if that was today, studio would be like, we don't care. It's going to make money. You're going to make it.
Yeah. It
may have a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, but if it's, gives us 6% raise in our pockets, then we'll take it. So it's like, all right,
Yeah. Well, that kind of makes me worried about, the future of film in general. Because well, every now and then we get a movie that completely dominates the box office that's not part of an IP. But it's so rare that it's stupid. Like the last major hit that we had was Oppenheimer, and that was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm waiting for 2025 to have that really big, like swing and a home run. I'm waiting for it. I haven't seen trailers for anything that looks like it yet, but
I can't think of anything at the moment. Maybe Avatar will probably. I mean, that's not an original, but that for sure will.
Yeah,
make a lot of money. But that's not. I was trying to think. All the movies I think of that will do well are all sequels. So I'm trying to think of an original. Oh well, nope, that's a remake. That's a sequel. That's a remake. That's a reboot. I'm just gonna have to look, I guess.
Yeah. List of movies coming out in 2025. It's like okay, so here we have a comprehensive list: sequel, remake, sequel, prequel, sequel, remake. So damn it!
It's like crap.
Well, but people are like, well, they don't make movies the way they used to anymore. This is why.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I hope we get back to a time where it was tell a good story. And I mean, a lot of movies, Gladiator even, I don't think it made a whole lot in its original box office run, but when it came out on DVD, it was the most sold movie on DVD at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I go on about physical media and DVDs, but that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, I really want Hollywood to get back to the point of where we can get another Thank You for Smoking, where we can get another Tropic Thunder.
Think about how inexpensive this movie would have been to make.
Oh,
and how good it was.
You could easily make this on a $5 million budget.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And it's short. I mean, it's essentially an episode of TV nowadays.
Yeah.
If you for some shows, I mean this was a great movie. I was blown away, but I'm not, by how much I enjoyed it. And it was like, movies don't have this feel anymore for the most part.
I mean, it was a well-told original story that had decent forward momentum. It never felt like it dragged. It had mostly good characters, mostly good performances. The jokes, when the jokes happen, they always land.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a lot of fun. It was just a fun movie.
But imagine trying to pitch this movie nowadays, like just the concept. I don't think it would be made just based off of that.
Well, see, you would get that one studio who'd be like, okay, you know what? I think we see something here. How about we cast Robert Downey Jr. in the lead role? It's like
the
no,
whole movie budget.
There goes our budget.
Right. Yep. Well, it's kind of like A24 is a studio that if you want a lot of good original movies, they put out a ton of great movies that are like just. I don't think I've ever seen a bad A24 movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, they can get weird,
right?
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
But I mean, movies like The Green Knight, The Witch, X, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Talk about a weird, great movie, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, I love Michelle. I love Michelle Yeoh already.
Yeah,
but her performance in that movie, I mean, so much range. Just great all around. I think my favorite moment of hers is she and Waymond are fighting the IRS agent, and he gets blocked in the closet behind the filing cabinet, and he says, I'm sorry, you're not the right Evelyn. I have to find the right one, and he ducks out of sight, and she's just like, Alpha Waymond. just that little squeaky delivery. I was like, God, I love this woman.
And now it's funny. Then she's popping up in a lot of movies. It feels like that kind of I mean, she didn't fall off by any means, but you started seeing her in a lot more movies and stuff. And so.
Well, we saw her in Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Which I mean, great movie. But
where's the sequel? Come on, Marvel.
Yeah,
you're gonna pump out sequels.
Yeah, but Michelle Yeoh in that movie is basically just, hey, this is why the plot's important.
Yep.
You have potential.
She is the old wise leader who lives on a mountain. How did she get there? Who knows? Read the comics.
Oh my God. Well, Shangri-La, what's this?
Watch Iron Man 3.
Yeah, right. Find out in the next 3 sequels. Shangri-La, the origins.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That did not happen with this movie. There was I can't think of any. Who's that? How'd they get there? Who cares?
No, yeah, everybody had their place. Definitely. Even Cameron Bright, who I mean we had said before was just kind of the tag along, but even though he was just a tag along, he was there because he wanted to be. Yeah. Because he kept on asking, "Can I go with you? I want to go with you. I want to see what you do." And see, it's like okay, that very easily could have been. Well, why the hell is this kid just accompanying his dad on these on these jobs? And it's like, well, that's why, because the filmmaker went out of the way to show that he wants to be there.
And there's that line after Aaron Eckhart has been fired and he's just depressed in his apartment and is throwing away food and just living on the couch, and his ex-wife stops by with the son. She says to him, cause I think he says like, I'm just human or something. And she says, but there's someone that sees you still as a god. And it was like the relationship he has with his son is still there. Like his son doesn't care that he lost his job. He just wants to be with his dad and be like his dad. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty powerful message there.
Yeah, definitely. And while Cameron Bright's not technically a good actor, that's still a good character. That's still a well-written character. So, I mean, there's so many ways that this movie could have gone wrong. There are so many decisions that could have been made, very easy decisions that could have been very easily glossed over, that really could have driven this movie into the dirt. But it seems like they did pretty much everything right. And there are very few movies where I can say that. Like, now, mind you, what am I going to call this one of my all-time favorite movies? No, of course not. But it's a good movie.
Very rewatchable, I think, too.
Oh yeah,
it's got that.
Yeah, I'm sure you could go back and catch all kinds of snappy dialogue that you probably miss.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a good movie with the people behind it who make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad that this was put on the list because it, like I said earlier, I had heard of it, but I knew nothing about it at
yeah,
all, and I was very pleasantly surprised with it, and just a good time.
yeah.
Just a good
It
time.
really was a good time. I'm glad that I watched it
Mhm.
too. I'm glad that I finally scratched that itch.
Yeah.
Now, but now I kind of want to see one of Aaron Eckhart's B action movies
Oh gosh,
and
I think
see.
the first movie I ever saw him in, he's not. I mean, it's not like it was this. It's My All American. It's based on a real. It's a real life story about a Texas football player, and he plays Daryl K. Royal, who was a head coach at UT.
Uh-huh.
And then I saw him in the Midway remake that came out
Wow,
in
Midway.
2019. Um,
I haven't thought about Midway in a long time.
yeah, that. By the way, that movie has a very impressive cast as well. Like name an actor, they're in it. Like I was like, geez, the whole budget went just to the casting. So,
Oh wow, yeah. I
and of course, The
remember.
Dark Knight, guys. Okay, come on.
Yeah, I remember. I used to have Midway on VHS, the original.
I have surprisingly seen that. Yeah,
Yep.
not on VHS though.
Yeah. Well, VHS was a little before your time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. You came in when people were starting to discover digital cameras.
Yep. Back when you could only film for like 30 seconds at a time on your phone.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And it looks like it was filmed with a toaster.
I mean, you go back to all my baby videos because I messed with my mom. I was like, why are these all like 30 seconds? And she was like, well, that's all you could film for. And so sometimes you just have random cutoffs. And it was like, all right. There's not a full story there, Mom. You only got to the second act and you cut it off. So
Yeah. Like I really needed to see how this diaper change would end. Is he going to piss on her? Is he going to shit on her? Who knows? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
oh my gosh.
All right. Yes. Thank You for Smoking was definitely a good movie. I'm very glad that I watched it. I think I think I think this is gonna start like me going through the early 2000s and just fight. Oh,
Go put in your
2000s,
DVDs and watch the trailers, and you're like,
hi, there's one. So speaking of early 2000s movies, this was a movie that I thought about not long ago that I am definitely going to put on the list. Have you ever seen The Terminal with Tom Hanks?
Yes, I have. That's a very good movie.
And I just thought about it the other day. I had seen it on VHS years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you have Tom Hanks, you have Zoe Saldana.
One of the few roles I've seen her in where she's not in makeup or CGI.
Well, you have Diego Luna, pre-Andor.
Very pre-Andor,
yeah. And it's about a guy living in an airport. And and that's one that I'm going to put on the list because I haven't watched that since I was probably like 11, like 10 or 11 years old. So
dang.
And that's Steven Spielberg. So I'm gonna have to go back and definitely.
A movie's great when you don't realize until it ends. You're like, that was all shot in one location for the most part.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I love a good contained movie. I mean that's why I love movies like Collateral. That's why I love movies like Alien. It's like there's movies who have like the grand sweeping wide shots of big huge landscapes and whatnot. Yeah, that's great. But when you can make two guys talking in a taxi the most interesting thing about the movie, it's just
you got something golden there. Another movie that's really good that I just thought of is Artemis Fowl.
Oh God! That hurts my heart. Oh God!
Real cinema right there. Like if you want to be a film critic, that's the first movie you got to watch.
I would be willing to watch it one more time to do on this show.
See, here's the funny thing. I've never seen it because of how you've talked about it. So I was just...
Even if you've never read a single Artemis Fowl book, this is still the most incompetent freaking movie I've ever seen. I would rather watch The Room over Artemis Fowl. I would rather watch Birdemic, Shock and Terror over Artemis Fowl. I would rather watch The Last Airbender over Artemis Fowl.
Or that movie with Elijah Wood, the anime movie.
Anime movie with Elijah Wood.
Isn't it it's live? Is it Dragon Ball? It's like a live action.
Oh no, that's not Elijah Wood. That's Justin Chatwin.
My mistake.
Yeah. I would watch Dragon Ball Evolution over Artemis Fowl. Because at the very least, I could watch Dragon Ball Evolution and laugh at it. I watch Artemis Fowl and I want to slit my own throat.
We could do a whole episode titled "Movies We Would Rather Watch Than Artemis Fowl."
God. But if it ever came down to it, if there was a unanimous
Scorpion King 3, The Return of the Scorpion.
I've only ever seen the first one.
Scorpion King returns
like 4
again.
Of them.
Jeez. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. You ever mention Artemis Fowl again? I'm gonna reach through the screen and punch you in your forehead.
It's like, hey guys, I got a movie suggestion. Artemis.
Yeah, right. I'll be like Homer Simpson strangling Bart. What, you little fella? All right. Well, I think that'll about do it for this.
On a high note,
Focus Weekly. Well, we definitely got way off track for a while, but you know what? I love that about this show because this show.
It's like we said about the movie. It's like there's a lot that happens, but not a lot that happens.
Yeah,
you know? It's kind of,
well, and really, I mean, while we do dedicate, you know, these episodes to specific films, I mean, this show is just a celebration of film in general. So
you've seen the Cantina Happy Hour. This is not anything new. We don't have Debbie to keep us on track.
We're way cooler than them.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it. Andrew, do you have anything coming up? Any shameless plugs that you want to drop here?
Yeah, so tomorrow night on the Feast of Fandoms YouTube channel, David, Debbie, and I will go live for MCU Monday, and we will give our Captain America Brave New World review.
Nice.
So that should be a lot of fun. Thursday, we'll allow Cam to be on. We'll be doing the Cantina Happy Hour. We have not decided what we're talking about yet. I'm not sure. We'll think of something.
Yeah, we'll drop a few ideas in the chat or something.
But last week's episode, we talked about if the Star Wars shows needed more seasons. So
that was the week before. Holy crap, I'm behind.
Yeah, no, we're not talking. We're not reviewing Mandalorian season 1. We were.
What do you mean, Rebels is over?
What's Clone Wars? Oh, that just started? Oh, okay.
Damn, I only just watched the movie like yesterday.
Got a little catching up to do, only a couple days. So that was a lot of fun. That's it for me at the moment.
All right. Well, yes, but we will be on the Cantina Happy Hour this coming Thursday over on the Feast of Fandoms. God, I slur so bad, and I'm not even drunk. The Feast of Fandoms YouTube channel. That'll be Thursday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and next Sunday we'll be right back with another episode of Cam and Focus Weekly, and we'll be discussing Disney's forgotten classic, The Black Cauldron.
Right. Nice.
Now, if you don't know, The Black Cauldron is an adaptation of Book 2 of the Chronicles of Prydain high fantasy novel series written by Lloyd Alexander, which, if you've never read them, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So much lore, great characters, great writing. Just a great series overall if you're a fan of high fantasy like Lord of the Rings.
You read them to your daughter every night so that you can read them.
Yeah. Yes. Let me tell you all about how Terran Pigboy became the High King of Prydain.
Daddy, I don't like this story. You're gonna like it.
It's either this or read you Silence of the Lambs. Pick one.
Oh gosh. She's like, ooh, I like lambs. No, not this one.
Yes or no, Clarice? I love Anthony Hopkins. Anyways, yes, that'll be next Sunday here on Cam and Focus at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification icon or whatever the hell.
To motivate you, go back 2 weeks ago and you can see Cam as Princess Leia.
Yes, I touched myself in very provocative ways in that freaking bikini.
Timu, Princess Leia.
Yeah, right.
No,
exactly.
No. Wish, Princess Leia.
Yeah. Well, let's be fair. Chinese sweatshop Princess Leia. Let's be completely.
He said it, not
correct
me.
Here.
Yeah, that's right. But see, oh no, I should be the one that should be getting offended on your behalf. So let's be politically correct.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You can't say that. That's racist.
and then Cam's like, but I'm Asian. What are you talking about? It doesn't matter. You can offend other Asians.
But just real quick, just so I can say this while we're still live. So I work in dermatology, and I had a patient who came in one day, a fairly elderly lady. She came in. I did the workup on her. I was about to leave and go get the provider, and she asked me before I leave. She says, "I just have a question. What nationality are you? Because your eyes are kind of like." And I tried so hard to keep myself from laughing. I was like, I was honest with her. I said, "Yeah, I'm half Korean and half German." And she said, "Oh, okay, half Korean. That makes sense." It's like, yeah, is it because my eyes are like? It's like, but like people say the kids say the damnedest things. No, it's the elderly.
Old people.
The elderly say the damnedest things.
Whew, I gotta refrain from no comment. No comment.
Just wait until I hit end stream, then you can make all the comments you want.
Cam's gonna be like the reporter. You didn't say off record.
Bro, breaking news: Andrew Haley accused of blatant racism.
And Cam secretly hits the record button after we go live.
We were unable to reach him for comment.
This was his last appearance ever.
Here's a list of his accomplices. At the top is Dave Furr. That does it for Cam and Focus Weekly. We'll see you guys